Okay, so let's start. It's 7 minutes late. So today we're gonna talk about solving business problems with AI. My name is Kazik Pietka. I'm right now managing partner at Surfer. About me, so with my co-founder Tomek, we bootstrapped Surfer to $15 million in revenue. During that time, I was started as a technical co-founder, but later, because of our early success, I moved to operations, and from that point of time, I was running operations, legal, sales, finance, and people. Right now, I'm managing partner at HEVELI. We started a month ago, and I'm focused to just give everyone, all the founders, clarity and focus to running their business. And also, I have Bachelor of Science in System Engineering, and I also used to be a software engineer. So today we're gonna talk about some basic stuff with AI, and then we're gonna move forward with complex use cases. So at first we're gonna follow and cover what's the difference between AI workflow and AI agent. Then we're gonna talk about what's the difference between reasoners and GPTs, because it's not common for you guys. And then about what AI can help us with assisting and working and triggering from the web. Also, how we can use and trigger AI models to work for us from our local machines. But also, after that, we're gonna cover how to unsolve all the problems with AI that you have in your company, and how to map it and then implement it to your organization. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about the hot topic in the recent 6 months, model context protocol. I think all of you heard about it. I don't know if you try it. I have some live also example for that. So moving forward, I put all the materials, presentation, and all of the use cases on my Google Drive. So if you want to give it a try after the presentation, you can scan the QR code. Everything is there, and I encourage you to just start working with AI. For sure. He needs an iPhone. All right. So let's start with the definition. So AI workflow is a linear predefined process that I'm gonna show you today, and that it's predictable and easy to manage. But what it lacks is autonomy and adoption. So it's not an agent when you are just sending an invoices to the process invoices to you, for example, to your accountant. When everything is collected, automatically summarized, and then provided to the accountant, it's an agent. In other words, it's not, and this is one of the misconceptions. Then so what's an AI agent? It's an autonomous system that observes the reality and environment, takes its own decisions, and drives actually the work till the end. So for example, in our days, right now we have, for example, from Intercon, Fin, and AI, and it's already using all the knowledge from the database and can answer to the question. You don't need human in the loop, actually, to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down to send it back to the customer. The agent automatically already provided the answer and the value to the customer. What it lacks, it's control, so we have to trust the AI, or we already know that it's gonna meet our standards. So why I am thinking that agents are gonna be key in the future? So for first of all, it's gonna be persistent and goal-oriented. They won't get tired or just of the work, and that's repetitive, for example, questions on support. It's gonna hold broad context and actually deliver the value to best to their knowledge to the clients. And also it's gonna increase the efficiency. I'm not for firing people and hiring AI for that. Actually, they're gonna work side by side, and actually people can focus on complex tasks like strategic thinking, problem solving, and so on. And AI agents are gonna just do repetitive work that right now human is doing. So where are we now? So as Maciek mentioned and all other speakers before me, right now we have ChatGPT, Claude, and others, actually that most of the companies are using for text generations, code, and images. And all of them are semi-autonomous, so we just need to work with them and guide them what problem that we want to solve it, write a prompt, and so on. And what all of us, I think, knows, it hallucinates, sometimes provides some links that doesn't exist, or some names, and so on. So for that, we have to just use some actually approaches to working with AI that gonna fact check and actually deliver the true value for us. Moving forward, so we covered like very easy part. What's the definition between AI workflow and AI agent? Let's move on to reasoners and GPTs. And the key differences between them, so GPT is very naive model that needs a lot of prompting actually to solve the task, and it just needs to follow these instructions. They are way cheaper, but actually more stupid. And reasoners are the models that don't need so many prompting, because they can think, because they won't predict what's the best next token actually to provide as an answer for you, but it's gonna make a stop, and as Maciek mentioned, they're gonna ask questions, or they're gonna think in steps, and actually then provide the real value. And so we talked that it's an issue actually to get right answers from AI, so this just needs a proper prompting. This is an example from documentation of OpenAI. So first of all, when you write a prompt, tell it clearly what's the goal. And also what's very important at the very beginning, use just very simple sentence, act as, I don't know, professional services advisor in SaaS pricing. And then it's gonna already be narrowed to the part of their knowledge that it's already the model was pre-trained. Then say, and then just you need to define what's the written format, because the AI won't just know what you expect. The better output description you're gonna provide, the better results you're gonna get, because AI won't read in your mind. And actually, for example, I was expecting bullet list for that. You just need to be very clear about that. Then, very important, warnings and validation points. Also, when your model is working in steps, for example, on solving your problem, just write what are the key things that needs to be covered or supposed to be avoided. Thanks to that, you're gonna have way better results. And last but not least, at the bottom, add the context dump. So when I'm working, for example, with GPTs, at first I'm doing all the deep research and so on, then I am going to the reasoner, I'm creating the master prompt for that, and then on the bottom I run a context dump. One thing right now, what also OpenAI shared, when you have very long context for your prompt, put the master prompt, so everything what you have here, at the top, at the bottom of the prompt. The context is supposed to be in the middle, because when the model is working on the answer, for example, when the prompt is very long, they're gonna just start forgetting that. So when they're gonna read it to the end, and your master prompt at the end is the same, so it's gonna be providing you better answers. And also what's very important, try to use meta prompting technique. So actually use AI to generate a prompt for you. And at first, how it works, you are defining the objective, so generate the draft, so I ask AI model to create a prompt for your another model. So for example, we're gonna have an example, I think, from next minute. And then what do you expect? Then you are using this prompt actually to run the results and see how it's gonna work. After that, you can refine and optimize. So you can refine the prompt that you already get from the AI, or even the meta prompt that you used before, to work on your job. And okay, I started from the wrong side. But what's most important, it's actually working in cycles, and over the course of time, you're gonna get better and better in that. And actually, all the work that's gonna be provided to you from the AI gonna have way higher value for you and way higher quality. Okay, so right now let's see some examples. All right, so as I mentioned, meta prompting technique is very important, and for this you can use two approaches. First one, which is very easy to start with. I think not this one. So when you log into Anthropic dashboard, you have very simple, just generate a prompt. So this is what we are starting with meta prompting. And this at the very beginning, you have simple interface that actually gonna ask us a simple question. For that, I just prepared a prompt that, for example, I want to responses for my emails for a work mail. In the prompt, I want to provide examples, so on and so forth. So this is very simple prompt that I wrote, and I am pasting it here. I want to use thinking model for that, and this is where the magic happens, because right now it's actually creating a master prompt for us. And as you see, it's way better than what we would write, and actually covering a lot of angles. And right now what we are doing, we are just, okay, it was on the slide. So we are using or refining. So I want to use it, let's continue. And as you see, it is gonna be easy, already put here in the mail. I can just use, provide old emails, personal info about me. If I provide it, we can run it and get already the first results. What we can use? We can use ChatGPT for that. And actually, for ChatGPT, we can, it's here. So before Claude allowed us to actually generate this prompt just with one text box, this is actually my prompt engineer agent that already helps me with all the writing for the prompt. And as you see, I spent it like half a year creating this on my own, like from use case to use case, and actually right now it works pretty well. So I can just copy it, go to new chat, and I'm just putting here it as the first chat. After that, it's right now thinking about it, it's analyzing what I provided to it and so on. It's, as a response, it's gonna say us, okay, so what's we start prompt crafting process, and right now it's gonna be going step by step with my process to get the final prompt. Prompt, yes. So here it's like role adoption, complexity level, mission critical. The task is to create a prompt. So right now we are in prompt process. Step 1, core purpose definition. Right now I'm providing first answer in steps. What's my core purpose? And then we are going through the process, and we should get something similar. For example, if we have the same goal like this one.
So it's somewhat in the same way as like the deep research in OpenAI tries to ask you some scoping question.
Yeah, but this is detail, and this is like a little bit old-fashioned. It's for my needs, but yeah, like 2 years ago it didn't exist, so deep research. So this is how I handled stuff.
No, but it's better because it's more precise, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and this is like what we are using, and about prompting and deep research. So when I go with some complex tasks, at first I'm starting with the research. So recently, for example, I was looking for a car. Maybe it's not the prompt that I used. And for start, I just did, maybe we just need to copy it. Okay. Copy URL. So my goal was to just find a luxury car, two-seater, vented car seat, at least 400 kilometers range and low carbon footprint. And this is what Maciek mentioned. Then in deep research mode, the model asked me some deeper questions where I provided like what was my budget, what type of cards, so on and so forth. And as you see, I just left my computer for 20 minutes because this is how long the research took place. It's for its own visited 27 different resources, so I can check real pages here right now, summarized everything, and as an output, I got this research. And then what I do, this is like first step of this complex task. Then what I do, I want to create a prompt. So as we go right now go back to Anthropic, I'm asking it, okay guys, so I just need a new prompt for this. And what I am saying, I just act as a professional car advisor, generate me a prompt. So with these two easy steps, most of the things are done for me. What I, right now, as you see, what I need to provide here is something what I predefined earlier. So this is a research that I'm providing from the deep research part and requirements that I also already provided for the deep research. So they are easy to mirror. So I have everything already here, or no? Maybe go to the car. Okay, so this is it. So if I want to work with it right now, I'm going here. I have my luxury car. I'm copying my prompt, putting here for a research. I'm going to my document. I have my requirements. I am putting them here, and then I just maybe we're gonna also turn on the that we wanted to have a thinking model. We increase budget for tokens and thinking, and then we just click run. So thanks to that, we're gonna have way better actually analysis what was for the main goal, because for me it's like right now very important to, for example, get a car in this price range based on real data. And as you see right now, it's right now thinking, considering everything what I provided in the context window. And thanks to that, we're gonna have a response in a moment. I'm gonna show you the result because it can take up to 2 minutes. So let's go back to the presentation, and let's see. So the next part is like also balancing the conversation length. So it's very important when you work with AI. For example, when I'm expecting an output that I want to have 10 cars that are scored based off the requirements and so on, you won't get a good result when you just provided one sentence, because the input doesn't match the output. So when we are working with AI for a complex tasks, it's very important even to match how long the input is with how long output you expect. Otherwise, you're gonna just get something that model gonna map for you and just provide it when needed. And also what's very important, start fresh when you need it, or for me, start fresh always. Don't have like one chat with ChatGPT, Claude, and others, and that you're gonna work once on email marketing, then on sales, then on business strategy, because it's gonna have this long context from the previous conversation, and actually it can just start providing you inaccurate information, and you're gonna be met on AI. It was not AI fault, it was yours. Also, the tools that I wanted to share with you for a business. So first of all, it's Cursor. I think most of you know it, that your engineers are using it, but actually you can use it for learning on your own. You can upload their data, just any text and so on, and it can help you just start with learning about the thing that you want to learn. Then it's cool extension to ChatGPT. It's Ask Your PDF. You are just uploading PDF and start asking questions. I use it with 400 pages PDF when we were working for an issue with tax office. It worked. Then for the automation, it's Make. I like this platform for the canvas that it's providing and integrations. And last but not least, with all the workflows that we are working on or automations, it's Notion or Airtable or Supabase. It's depending on how technical you are to provide the structure for your data. Yeah. So let's go back to the output that we got from the AI. So as you see right now, it was thinking about stuff, and right now we see the summary like on rank number 1 is Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray. So and as you see, it's over 400 horsepower. It's in the budget. I think everything, all the unfulfilled requirements, there was none. So I think this is something that we should get for in next future. But Yeah.
How come you just didn't continue the conversation with ChatGPT and ask it to kind of re-evaluate what you wrote and provide it in format? Like, how come you switched the topic?
Yeah, because it's way better with data analysis and actually with long context. So that's why for different use cases, I am using different models. And here, for example, what I see Anthropic is better actually to follow longer data structure and actually better with reasoning. So for that, but also what's better with reasoning, it's actually if you have, but you have to have a pro subscription, so O1 Pro mode. So actually this is with this most expensive GPT subscription. This is actually the best, but I am not want to encourage you to all buy $200 a month subscription. You can just work with Anthropic. It's not in subscription model. You are just topping it up when you just gonna use all the tokens. You can start from $5 and use it as long as you want. And when you just used $5, you can top it up with next ones. So that's why for the reasoning and data collection, it's way better. Okay, then, so as you see, I mentioned the cursor, and I think cursor is on. So what I did, I just downloaded the documentation about the GitHub, so about what I was working in the past. And what I am doing here, let's have a new conversation. So I am just right now working with the LLM right now from the cursor. And what I am doing here, I'm just providing the context. So what I want to do, I want to learn about the documentation. And then what I want to learn about the documentation, I want to use an outline, and based on that, prepare me short lesson about basics of Git. So I'm going there, and right now he's scanning everything was in the text mode in the cursor and providing what I asked for it. And this is a very efficient way to learning any new stuff, because with ChatGPT they can actually hallucinate and can provide you inaccurate information, so on and so forth. But when you provide AI like very good oriented data locally, you can just use it for learning. And actually, as you see, I asked it to be also, and this is the only input that it's got. It's all the files. So it's going here, is providing me all the things that I supposed to learn, and then I know this is truth, not some AI hallucination. So when you are learning something new, I highly recommend that approach. One thing and one downside about this stuff is you need to spend time actually on collecting the data, but let's face it, when we want to learn something new, our source is a key, because otherwise we are just spending hours on some useless stuff. Then we also were covering Ask Your PDF. So this is also a very cool extension for Chrome, for GPT. So it's very easy to use. You are just here in the sidebar. Let's go here. We are uploading the PDF, for example. Sorry for that, but the only thing that I was able to share, it's an agreement with my accountant, the template one, and I don't want to read this document because it's 10 pages long. I won't understand half of it. So tell me what the document is about and give me key details. Because I don't have time, I just wanted to know the price and what they do. So as you see within now, I already know the pricing was found, for example, the appendix, what they charge extra, so on and so forth. So I don't need someone who's gonna provide me exactly a summary what the document is about. I already got it from GPT. Last but not least, we're gonna cover it now. So make a Notion. It's cool, actually. It's for all of you, all of your workflows, actually, to prepare the data. Here is a very simple workflow that it's watching my email for any new invoices. When I get it, it's iterating over the attachments. The ChatGPT actually is scanning for example, for what's the contractor, what's the value, what's the due date, and so on, and put it to the Notion. And once a month, other automations taken from the Notion and sending to my accountant. Lastly, there is also a task for those of you who gonna download the materials. It's getting the scenario that I built previously at Surfer. Okay, I think it won't load on this Chrome. Copilot trainer. So when we are working with your sales people, actually it's broken because I don't have any more access. But for example, how you can use the transcript from the call actually to some actions. So at first, what we starting as an input, we have just a transcript, and what we are doing later with that, we are pushing it to ChatGPT actually and creating some analysis. We had very complex review system, Marshall, you know that. And for that, based on the transcript, we had a summary that I written this. I written this myself. So as you see, I am providing as an input the transcript, and this was created with Claude. And then I have some book items, so there we are just having some very advanced way of scoring the calls. And based on that, we are getting all the data and scoring system about the call. And as you see, as an output, I'm going to feed 3 sources. So one is message to the leader, and they're gonna get a notification if the call went good or bad, and they can use it for the training materials. Then it's a Slack message to our sales rep, and they're gonna get a draft of the email. And actually, if they need to follow up on something, there is a link to the resources, and it's speeding up the work actually. And then last but not least, we are also sending information about the deal to the HubSpot, and actually all the data is it's updated, so the sales rep doesn't need to log in then and do all the manual work on their own. Yeah. So let's move forward. My 2 favorite tools, but right now it's a new kid on the block. So assistance in web. One thing it's Make, but I think it's old-fashioned, and I never liked working with that. It's delivered the value, but actually the end-to-end flow and actually creating everything on the canvas and the bubbles, it drives me mad because I prefer to write it in plain English or write a code. But it's easier to actually to manage, and actually you can then delegate the work on that to someone else. The new kid on the block is Wordware. It's a Polish UK startup that raised $30 million a few months ago. And actually, I really like this solution. I don't know if you heard about the guys, but actually you are using English as a code. So I think this is gonna be a big change right now with all these automations and so on, and also with engineers. They don't need to actually write a code to get something or the stupid bubbles. Actually, they're just using some plain English to get the job done. And to showcase you that, I have, again, some examples. And this is the one I mentioned. This is Sales Trainer Copilot. And the second one is actually the Wordware. And as you're gonna see in the second, this is my prompt crafter. So at some moment when I was testing this, as you remember, I had like this thing that I was putting to ChatGPT, and it was providing the work. But with the Wordware, I know that I have some inputs, and right now, as you see, it's starting as a prompt engineer, and right now, after some time, I'm just using different models and different ideas actually to deliver the same value. And what's cool also about it, it's multimodal. So for different cases, you can use different prompts. So for example, for this one, I use GPT-4o, but when I wanted to summarize and get a whole prompt for myself, I used O1 preview. So, and actually you can see, you can use loads of them. And actually it depends on you, what you want to do, and what's the best for jobs that needs to be done. You don't need to have also the subscription for all of that. Everything is already from the guys. Moving forward, also we covered, so all of the Make and Wordware and stuff, they can be triggered from can be triggered from the web. And actually it's nice because, for example, you get a new email, new customer just reach out to you on intercom, or there was a new sales call that happened, and there is transcript to be understood and then run by AI and summarized. But also what's even cooler, it's working with AI from your local machine. So you can use all of these capabilities that you have on your local, for example, screenshots, some internal data, and so on, and then use AI for that and move forward. Also, what's very important, I am a fan, and I think in the future we won't be using any tools like Workday or invoicing system and so on, and we don't need to use their most of the time horrible user interface. But we're only gonna, all people in the organization, then only gonna use chat as an interface for all jobs that needs to be done. For sales people, they only need access to HubSpot, and they're gonna learn the user interface and be fluent with that. But all other stuff, when they want to book a vacation, or they want to just learn what's the maternity or paternity period, and they just need to go through Confluence, Notion, and so on. And there is, of course, at least 5 different versions of the same page. It's like just a nightmare. You can just use the chat interface to get all of this data from your local computer. And here I'm gonna show you how. So this is Alice. This is a software from my friend. As you see here, it's AI CAS that is just doing stuff for me. And it can do a lot of stuff. And this can be from very simple Slack integration, actually moving forward to even a meeting schedule. So what I do, I don't need to go to my Google Calendar and just make everything for that. I am just going to my workshop. Simple schedule meeting. And it's already now that we are working in simple schedule meeting scenario. So let's create a prompt for that, because I didn't prepare one. So it's gonna be book me a meeting for next Wednesday, 4 p.m. with about marketing strategy. So as you see now, right now it's like analyzing what I wrote this in English and check if I am busy at that time or not. And I see that I am busy, so I didn't have to do this on my own. I know that I don't have time at this moment. So let's start. Let's try maybe at 9 a.m. So as you see, I don't need to use any of this stuff. I just, as a for example, person that is working at the company, I'm just using all of this to just learn about, for example, my calendar and my colleague calendar, and then you are just going with the simple English, go and understand what things that needs to be done. And sorry for that, this is not a distraction. And actually, this is my main interface. Then we can just develop it further and actually show me a calendar of my colleague, update me those meetings, delete me those meetings, and everything can happen from that, so we don't have to have access to all of these tools. And then very, very nice topic, and it's about processes. So I think most of you in your firms are actually have hundreds of them, or not thousands, it depends on the scale, but you don't know where to start. And from my experience working at Surfer, but also right now with the clients, you have to start with why it's a key, with a definition, and moving forward. Most of the time it's very time consuming and very hard to move forward. So I wanted to, and also building the effective assistance is very hard, because as you see, you have to start with specific guidelines, because as I mentioned to you, AI needs to know what the output you expect. So also the result, the context and all the data points, role definition, and also what's gonna be its focus. And for that, I shared with you in the materials, it's this Miro board that actually you can use at your work to start working on your AI agents and workflows. So at the very beginning, you can work with your team, with exec team, or with your team at marketing or sales and any other, and just define all of the problems or all of the opportunities that you see that AI might help you. But moving forward with AI, it's not that easy that you have only a problem. Then you are going like problem by problem, and this is like the canvas. And then you're starting, okay, so what's the value proposition? So what's it gonna achieve? Who is going to use it? Who is a stakeholder? Because, for example, when you are working on finance data and you want to automate your flow, maybe a board gonna be a stakeholder and they wanted to know about the automation, or maybe they know something that, for example, you are forbidden because an agreement or so on to automate the stuff and so on. You also need some engineering, so tech stack, but I think right now most of us can do this on your own with AI, and just knowing the right tools and connect them into one place is very important. Also data integration requirements, so actually what's the input actually of my flow and what's gonna be the output. All of the possible solution. Do we want to do this with the agency? Do we want to do this in Make? Do we want to do this in WordWare? Everything is possible. And actually what's very important, and a lot of companies are missing, the benefits, because doing the automation and spending time of that just to have one very small benefit, you should have after the workshop like a matrix, I think 5, 10 of them already defined, and this is, you can use an Eisenhower matrix of impact and effort, and this is one of the angles that you're gonna assess what's the next AI automation that needs to be solved. And as you see, also we are defining key metrics. So how we're gonna measure the success. You can also use it on your own. So, and last but not least, we covered all of these aspects, and right now model context protocol. So I think most of you already heard about it on LinkedIn and stuff. It was released, if I remember it correctly, in November 2024 by Anthropic, and this actually solves all the problems that I was already in last 5 years addressing with my own solutions. So as you saw, as I showed you, for example, my simple schedule process, I had to have already a tool, for example, Alice, where I defined how the input gonna look like, how the data structure gonna look like, so on and so forth. Then send it to Make. On the Make, I had to create the stupid bubbles, and then I have to model if it's gonna be just create a new meeting, if it's gonna be update, if it's gonna be delete. And also, if I wanted to send in one text, not just create me one meeting, but create me one meeting, delete me this one, and also update the context of the others. This is actually the Make nightmare that I was living in recent years, because as you're gonna see, your Make at some point gonna look like this. Actually, after a month, you don't remember what's happening there, and you have to just start learning everything. What was your thought actually for this branch, for that branch, so on and so forth. So I started, and at some point I had 150 of those automations, and when something break because API changed, a response format and so on, I just hated myself for doing this in my past. But right now, and also I can show you, for example, from the Alice side, this is not that I just provided in, it looks cool because I showed it to you, but actually I have the other prompt here. So it understood the plain English. I told him that the answer will be in JSON and nothing else. Then gather all of these things as much as you can from my prompt, send it to the Make. Make gonna give me the response, and I'm gonna format it. So I had to model everything, and it was only available for me or for some other guys who are very fluent with data structure and also with engineering. And right now with MCP servers, when they're gonna be live, and the access gonna be for everyone, you can just download it or install by a subscription and start using it. you don't need any training because, as I mentioned to you before, there gonna be only one interface for you guys. And this is gonna be, again, chat, because you don't need to model on your own, for example, what are the scenarios, if you're gonna provide an array or a lot of tasks or just a one. The LLM gonna understand it by itself and just solve it on the fly. And how it works with MCP, right now there is an entry barrier because you have to know, so there is a GitHub, of course there is a very long list of all possible right now open source integrations. And when you download it, you can just trigger Claude, and as you see, it's already, I think it's connected with my MCP server. Let's see how it's gonna work. So my goal is I didn't do nothing. I didn't address the problem on the Alice side. So as I showed it to you, I just triggered the server on my local machine. And my goal is it's connected with my HubSpot. I want to create a new customer. It's gonna be Leo from SaaStanak. I provided his email, industry, and so on. After that, I don't want to show you because it's my production HubSpot. So I told it, okay, so after finishing the job, get the ID that's gonna be the return from the server, and just create me a link because of the security reasons, let's say. And this is all. So if my server is up and running, and it is, so as you see, from the message that I had above, it just understood that I want to connect with HubSpot, create a new contact, got all of the details that I was previously addressing here. The LLM figured it out on itself, and then as a return, I have HubSpot's profile, got the ID, and we can right now go to the HubSpot, and we're supposed to have, okay. And right now we can get to the HubSpot, and I hope it's gonna be redirected to Leo. And I already have a new contact here, and also it figured it out if I need a contact, probably in HubSpot you also need a company. So I already have a company in my HubSpot with predefined data that I just provided you here. So right now I know that the integration is limited, but let's put it even further. So right now I created a new contact. So I'm gonna ask my Claude, list me all the contacts from Croatia. Let's see if it's gonna connect to HubSpot or not. Okay, as you see, it's connected to HubSpot, but I think the server it's still a very early stage, so it didn't get all the properties from here. But let's see what it's done. I think what it done, just pulled all of the contacts that I had in my database and filter it on this side. It's not efficient from the programming perspective, but actually it's actually the automation. But as you see, it already did the job, provided. I see that I have Leo, I see its ID, and so on. So to sum up, I think working with AI and actually being on the edge with all the automation and using it to best to your abilities, it's a key for your organization. Also, it won't work that when only me or any of you just start working on this trend. Actually, whole board or the leaders, founders needs to be there needs to be a buy-in for this. Otherwise, it's gonna be just your company gonna be very well organized in one vertical, but the other is gonna drag you down or drag you back. Also, what's very important with AI, data and alignment are key, because it takes a lot more time than most people imagine to actually align data across departments. I don't know if you in any other time at your company wanted to, for example, fix some of your metrics. I don't know, how do we measure organic traffic or some financial data or product data. What's the North Star of the company? And then you're gonna go across the company or across all of the departments, and you're gonna get different definition of the North Star. So this is very important. And also going back to data, so as you know with AI, and as I showed you previously with it, you have to, how as good data you're gonna provide, as for example with the car model, car prompt, then the output gonna be also the same quality. So there is also a very ugly saying with AI, so shit in, shit out. And it's up to you actually what you're gonna get with it. Then leadership buy-in is already covered, and what I encourage you to do is seize the edge, because the one that's gonna implement AI and that actually drives result to your company are gonna be 10 times ahead of everyone else, and in my opinion, the gap is real. So thank you for joining. Here is a contact information actually to me. I am missing QR for that, but I think the most important thing for you after this presentation, it's actually these materials. So I knew that most of you didn't scan it at the beginning, but right now you have a second chance. I can make it again bigger for you. There you go. It's my favorite technology, by the way. So thank you guys, cheers, and let's have 5 minutes for questions.
The PDF tool you use, I'm just curious why you don't, because you can put PDF in ChatGPT. I'm curious.
Yeah, because when we are creating a new GPT, I don't know if you ever done that. So let's go back to some browser for my GPTs. I think it's this one. So when you're creating, for example, Explore GPTs, create a new one. When you are in creating mode, you are providing, of course, the name that they already have, but also the instruction. So I'm using them because they have better instruction than I do. I have to spend time on creating the instruction actually for data extraction from the PDF. So why to spend time actually on my own to creating this when I can use something that someone is making money on and it's for free? So that's why. Yeah, it's not, so this one, it's only using AI, but
But I mean, the full product, I think it's also like.
yes, as PDF.
So you know, they're like making the data.
So actually for them, it's like a sales channel, actually the extension for that, but it's good, the result is good enough for me because this is their full-blown product. They have their own models and way better results with that. But I'm good with I'm good with their lead magnet, and actually it works for me. And maybe in the future when I would, for example, want to ask my PDFs at scale, because maybe I am an accountant and I just need better data extraction, I'm gonna use that. But for me, from time to time, this solution is enough. Okay, so let's wrap up. Thank you for listening.